Is sexual desire and lust the same thing? What's the difference between them both?
Wow, that's a great question. Wow. I wonder what sparked the question.
Yeah.
And I would say that here is my attempt to answer. And of course, I want to also defer to Jason, you. But okay, so lust and sexual desire I would say they're not the same thing. They can be the Venn diagram overlapping each other, but sexual desire is actually given to us as a gift from God. It is what helps promulgate the species. It is a gift of the Lord that is the driving force inside of us, this eros inside of us that I think, as John Paul II alluded to, or maybe even said, is, I know Christopher West has, is like that gets us to the point where we want to pour ourselves out for the other. So I think of so many times growing up as a kid, because that's when I did most of my growing up as a kid, that I would spend hours playing in our backyard as like Luke Skywalker, or being Indiana Jones, or being Superman, or whatever the thing was. And I reflect on this and realize I wasn't Luke Skywalker because I just naturally hated stormtroopers, or Indiana Jones because I naturally hated Nazis, or Superman because I naturally just wanted to stop tidal waves from crushing a city. It was because, Indiana Jones fighting for Mary. It's Superman fighting for Lois. It's Luke Skywalker fighting for Princess Leia. And then, of course, later on finding out that's his sister, and that's confusing and everything. But like, I think there's something in me, I know, and there's something in most people, most men in particular, that's what I know, that the thing that drives you out of yourself to lay down your life is this thing called eros, is this desire to be able to, just to give yourself, or yeah, that's sexual desire. That necessarily isn't lust, because lust is the desire to possess rather than to give. Whereas sexual desire is the longing to give rather than to possess. It's to lay down your life rather than take life. It's to offer your strength rather than latch onto someone else's strength. And so they're not the same thing. In fact, I would say that lust is the twisting or the inversion of sexual desire. Again, they can feel the same, but one is aimed at the self-giving, that's sexual desire, and the other is aimed at taking for oneself. Would you agree, or maybe would there be a nuance?
No, it's fantastic. And it's such an important point, because if a person doesn't understand the difference between these two things, then they'll basically give up on purity probably within a half hour of committing to it. Right. Because then they're like, well, wait a minute, I'm doing my rosary, but my sexual desires aren't all going away. I must be doing something wrong. I must be failing God because I'm still interested in sexual intimacy. And so as long as we think that desire is the problem, we're just going to just white knuckle it, go neurotic, and then just explode. But when you realize, no, okay, sexual impulse, sexual desire is a gift from God. In a sense, it's a reaction that leads me out of myself, almost beginning this journey that should be completed in a total gift of self. But lust, like you said, it tries to get in there, and it takes our reaction, and then we're given that opportunity for a response. Okay, I've got this desire for intimacy, but now how do I respond to that? Do I now indulge in lustful thoughts and conversations and fantasies and actions? And then it becomes lust, because lust is an act of the will, just as love is. You might feel in love, but are you really loving the person? Well, if you really love them, then you do what's best for them. Same thing as the inversion with lust. It was Mikhail Waldstein, the guy who did John Paul II's Theology of the Body translation. He said what lust is a reduction of the human person to their sexual value. And I love that definition because it just makes it clear as day. It's sexual value is a value and it's good, but when you reduce the person to only their sexual value, you have lust. And like I heard one evangelical say, that love can wait to give, but lust can't wait to get. And so that's the distinction, is the orientation of those desires. Is it a consumption of like, I want this for me to be used by me? Am I getting some, or am I giving all? What's the language going on here? And there's going to be some, okay, well, am I into lust, or am I still in just a desire? You're allowed to feel those desires, but now draw God into that moment. Of God, help me to untwist these desires. Thank you for making that person beautiful. Help me to love them rightly. And it's a constant battle. It's not like, oh, you got a wedding ring, you're done. You signed your chastity commitment card, you're in the clear. Oh, you got your collar, no more temptations. It's like, no, this is for all of us. That's why chastity isn't just for like singles in high school and junior high kids. It's for everybody, no matter their state in life. So
yeah, and it involves, I think, seeing the person, and like that sense of seeing the person for who they are, not how they could make me feel. If I could offer one more piece,
Yeah.
I know we want to go through more questions, but I remember talking with a man who said he painted this picture for me that I thought was like, wow, this is so interesting. He was at a convention center kind of a thing, like a convention center for an event, and there was downtime, so he was wandering just around the place, and he wandered into one of the convention rooms, and there were tables lined up and stuff. And he walked up to one of the windows and looked out the window, and there was a group of, I guess, college age maybe students who were kind of around the beach. And he said, I found myself looking and he's like, okay, they can't probably see through this window. I'm just kind of looking and just kind of taking it in. The women taking looks, basically stealing looks at these women with the idea that it's harmless, or the idea that like I'm just looking. And then he said, okay, I gave myself a pass. And then he turned to the room, and on the tables there were like little jars of candy they put out for the participants. And he said, I went to take one, and I told myself, oh, that's not there for me. And so I didn't. And he said, when I was going to take a piece of candy, and he said, no, that's not there for me.
Yeah.
I was immediately convicted, like, wait a second, what was I just doing at the window?
Yeah.
Because I was just looking out the window and saying, no, it's fine, it's no big deal. But the truth is, that's not there for me. Mm-hmm. And he said, Father, is that like, I had this insight, like that's the difference, right, between like love and lust, or that's the difference between that sense of like seeing a person and seeing the person as what they could be for me. And I was like, I think that's pretty close. No. And I just thought, wow, that's not there for me. I can't take it.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that little clip, but if you want to see the whole episode where this came from, just click the link here. And in the meantime, we want to invite you to help us share this message, and there's a couple things you can do real quick. Number one, if you like or comment or share this video, YouTube will actually show it to more people. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We release videos every single day, and you'll be notified as soon as those come out. If you want to help us also to spread this message, you can support us at patreon.com/Jason Evert. That helps us to create these videos and show them to the whole world. God bless.